In the annals of Islamic history, few names inspire as much revulsion as Abu Jahl. He was more than an enemy. He was a tormentor, a relentless force of malice against Prophet Muhammad. Can you fathom the depths of such hatred? Imagine a man so consumed by animosity that he would throw filth upon a worshipper, plot to crush a kneeling head, and even orchestrate an assassination. The Quraysh called him Father of Wisdom, but to Muslims, he was the Father of Folly, a man whose intelligence was tragically overshadowed by his overwhelming arrogance and tribal pride. What dark obsession drove him to such extremes, even when signs of divine protection were undeniable? His story is a chilling descent into fanaticism, revealing how a leader revered for his judgment became Islam's most heinous foe, culminating in a dramatic, defiant end on the battlefield. Prepare to witness the unraveling of a soul consumed by hatred. A tale of relentless persecution, divine intervention, and a death that echoed his life's stubborn rejection of truth. Abu Jahl's true name was Amr ibn Hisham. Born in Mecca in 572 CE and dying in Badr in 624 CE, he was initially revered by the Quraysh. They bestowed upon him the honorific Abu Hakam, meaning Father of Wisdom, recognizing him as a sagacious and intelligent leader. Abu Jahl was a regular attendee at the Dar al-Nadwa, where his counsel was highly esteemed and frequently adopted by the elders of Quraysh. He was known for his lavish hospitality, ensuring his table was always laden with delectable bread and meat for guests. This generosity further solidified his reputation as Abu Hakam. Yet this outwardly benevolent facade concealed a darker truth. His actions were driven not by sincerity, but by a yearning for public acclaim. Ironically, despite his esteemed status among the Quraysh, Muslims knew him by a very different moniker: Abu Jahl, or Father of Folly. How could a man deemed wise be simultaneously labeled foolish? The answer lies in a captivating, almost comedic series of events that exposed the profound cognitive dissonance at the heart of his opposition to Islam. One night, Abu Jahl, along with two other prominent Quraysh leaders, Abu Sufyan and Akhnas ibn Sharik, found themselves drawn to the Prophet Muhammad's home. Under the cloak of darkness, each sought a clandestine spot to listen to the Prophet's mesmerizing recitation of the Qur'an. They were captivated, losing all sense of time until dawn approached, compelling them to return home. The next morning, an unexpected encounter brought them face to face. A silent, awkward moment ensued, each man acutely aware of the other's secret excursion. Akhnas broke the silence, asking Abu Sufyan where he had been. Abu Sufyan, in turn, posed the same question to Akhnas. Finally, Abu Jahl confessed they had been listening to the Prophet's recitation. Abu Jahl then proposed a pact. No one should return to the Prophet's house the following night, lest their secret be discovered by the Quraysh. However, the allure of the Qur'an proved too strong. The very next night, driven by an insatiable curiosity, they found themselves back at their secret listening posts, once again captivated until dawn. The following morning, the same embarrassed encounter unfolded, leading to a renewed, more earnest vow to desist. But like moths to a flame, they succumbed once more on the third night. This repeated clandestine listening and the subsequent awkward encounters continued until Akhnas confronted Abu Jahl directly. "O Abu Hakam, what do you think of what you heard from Muhammad?" Akhnas ibn Sharik's question to Abu Jahl about his thoughts on the Prophet's recitation brought forth a startling admission. Abu Jahl declared, "We have competed with the Banu Abd Manaf in glory. They fed, and we fed. They carried, and we carried. They gave, and we gave. So when we were neck and neck, and they said, 'Among us is a prophet to whom revelation comes from heaven,' how can we follow that? By Allah, we will never believe in him and never confirm him." This powerful statement, brimming with tribal pride and a fierce determination to maintain social standing, unmasked the true reason behind his animosity. It wasn't a lack of intellectual understanding, for he was deemed Abu Hakam, the father of wisdom. Instead, it was an overwhelming sense of arrogance and a rigid adherence to his tribal lineage and perceived status that blinded him to the truth. He prioritized the perceived honor of his tribe and his own standing over the undeniable veracity of the Prophet's message. This profound fanatical pride prevented him from embracing a truth that was evident before his very eyes. He chose to uphold his social status and the prestige of his tribe over accepting what he deep down believed to be true. This mirrors the story of Iblis, Satan, who, despite acknowledging Allah as the creator of all, defiantly refused to prostrate before Adam out of arrogance. The parallel is striking. Both Abu Jahl and Iblis, despite recognizing a deeper truth, allowed pride and self-importance to lead them astray. As the narrative unfolds, we see how this internal conflict manifested in the increasingly oppressive environment of Mecca under Abu Jahl's leadership. The early Muslims faced relentless physical torture, psychological torment, and even death threats from the Quraysh. It's a cruel irony that before the Prophet Muhammad began his mission, the people of Mecca revered him as Al-Amin, the trustworthy one. His honesty and integrity were beyond reproach, and no one dared speak ill of him. However, the moment he proclaimed his prophethood and delivered the message of Islam, everything changed drastically. Those who once praised him turned to slander, and those who once honored him became his fiercest adversaries. The transformation of Mecca's elite from admirers of Prophet Muhammad to his bitter enemies was stark. One day, as the Prophet intended to perform salat in the masjid, Abu Jahl confronted him. "O Muhammad," he scoffed, "who permitted you to worship here? What is the use of this prayer? All of this is in vain, utterly useless." The Prophet, embodying his characteristic patience, remained silent and continued towards the masjid. Abu Jahl, enraged by the Prophet's composure, escalated his taunts. "Why are you silent, Muhammad? Are you afraid of me? Do you not know that I am a person of great authority, and my followers are many, and your followers are few?" This arrogant display highlights Abu Jahl's desperate need to assert dominance and intimidate the Prophet. Undeterred by the Prophet's quiet strength, Abu Jahl's malice knew no bounds. He once attempted to desecrate the Prophet's prayer by throwing a large stone at him while he was prostrating. However, a sudden, inexplicable terror caused him to flee, trembling and pale. When his companions questioned his fear, Abu Jahl recounted seeing a terrifying, monstrous camel with an enormous head and jaws poised to devour him. This was a divine intervention, a manifestation of Allah's protection for his Prophet. Another instance of Abu Jahl's audacious attempts to harm the Prophet involved his intent to stomp on the Prophet's neck during prostration. Again, just as he was about to act, he recoiled in terror, retreating with frantic steps. His companions, bewildered, again asked for an explanation. Abu Jahl described a massive trench filled with blazing fire appearing before him, accompanied by terrifying wings poised to crush him. This was yet another sign of Allah's active protection, sending angels to safeguard the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Despite these clear signs of divine intervention, Abu Jahl remained unyielding in his wickedness. His hatred was so profound that he ordered his men to bring foul-smelling animal entrails and throw them onto the Prophet while he was prostrating in prayer, defiling his head and clothes. It was only when his young daughter, distressed by the sight, courageously cleaned her father that the Prophet was able to rise. Abu Jahl's actions demonstrated an utter lack of humanity and a hardened heart. His cruelty was not limited to the Prophet. He also persecuted the early Muslims with extreme brutality. Abu Jahl's persecution extended far beyond his personal vendetta against Prophet Muhammad, encompassing the entire Muslim community. He unleashed horrific torment upon those who embraced Islam, particularly the vulnerable. He relentlessly persecuted the family of Yasir, who were among the earliest converts. Sumayyah, Yasir's wife, endured unimaginable suffering at his hands. She was subjected to brutal torture, including being speared through her private parts, a heinous act that led to her martyrdom, making her the first martyr in Islam. Despite the agony, she steadfastly refused to renounce her faith, proclaiming her willingness to die rather than worship idols. Her husband, Yasir, also met a tragic end under Abu Jahl's cruelty. Their young son, Amr ibn Yasir, a mere 7-year-old at the time, witnessed these atrocities, a traumatic experience that etched itself onto his nascent mind. Abu Jahl then turned his sadistic attention to Amr, mercilessly torturing him. He even forced Amr to acknowledge a camel as his lord, a grotesque humiliation designed to break his spirit. Overwhelmed by the torture and the psychological pressure, Amr, in a moment of extreme duress, uttered the words Abu Jahl demanded. Distraught and weeping, Amr later sought solace from the Prophet Muhammad. The Prophet, with profound compassion, reassured him, "If you are forced again, say what they want, for indeed your heart is not in disbelief." This pivotal moment highlights the flexibility within Islamic law during times of extreme duress and the Prophet's deep understanding of his followers' struggles. By the 13th year of prophethood, the oppression from the Quraysh in Mecca reached an unbearable crescendo. The persecution of Muslims was rampant, with figures like Bilal ibn Rabah and Khabbab ibn al-Arat enduring horrific tortures. This unbearable situation prompted the Prophet to grant his companions permission to migrate to Medina, hoping to alleviate their suffering. The first wave of Muslims began their exodus, though the Prophet himself remained in Mecca, awaiting divine instruction for his own migration. News of the Muslims' migration to Medina reached Abu Jahl, filling him with alarm. He feared that the Muslims would gain strength and autonomy in Medina, posing a significant threat to the Quraysh's dominance. Driven by this fear, Abu Jahl convened a critical meeting at Dar al-Nadwa with the leaders of the Quraysh. He proposed a sinister plot to gather young men from various Meccan tribes, surround the Prophet's house at midnight while he slept, and collectively assassinate him. His reasoning was chillingly calculated. If they acted as one, the Banu Hashim, the Prophet's clan, would be powerless to seek revenge. This diabolical plan was enthusiastically endorsed by the Quraysh leaders, who saw it as a brilliant solution to their Muhammad problem. Unbeknownst to Abu Jahl and his co-conspirators, their meticulously crafted assassination plot was already known to the Prophet Muhammad. Allah, through the Archangel Jibril, had revealed their wicked intentions to his messenger. "O Muhammad," Jibril warned, "tonight, do not sleep in your usual bed, for Allah has commanded you to migrate to Medina." Armed with this divine foreknowledge, the Prophet devised a counterplan. He instructed Ali ibn Abi Talib to sleep in his bed that night, covering himself with the Prophet's green cloak, thus creating the illusion that the Prophet was still there. This courageous act by Ali was a testament to his unwavering loyalty and self-sacrifice. As the chosen assassins, a group of young men from various Quraysh tribes converged on the Prophet's house under the cloak of darkness. They impatiently waited for the opportune moment. When they finally stormed the house, their shock and fury were palpable. Instead of the Prophet, they found Ali ibn Abi Talib in his bed. Their elaborate plan had utterly failed. Abu Jahl's rage knew no bounds upon discovering the Prophet's escape. His frustration intensified, and he immediately ordered a widespread search for the Prophet, offering a substantial reward of 100 camels to anyone who could capture or kill him. However, with Allah's divine protection, the Quraysh were unable to locate the Prophet. Prophet Muhammad and Abu Bakr continued their journey, ultimately reaching Medina safely. The Prophet Muhammad's successful migration to Medina did not quell the animosity of Abu Jahl and the Quraysh leaders. In fact, it intensified their hostile actions. They brazenly seized the properties of the Muslim emigrants, selling their abandoned homes and distributing the proceeds among themselves. This ill-gotten wealth was then used to finance their trade caravans to Syria, led by Abu Sufyan. Upon hearing of this, Prophet Muhammad rallied the Muslims in Medina, intending to intercept Abu Sufyan's caravan. This act of defiance was a response to the oppression and plunder they had endured. News of the Prophet's intention to intercept the caravan reached Abu Sufyan, who, in turn, sent word to Mecca, urging the Quraysh to dispatch a large force to protect their wealth. The Quraysh, including Abu Jahl, mobilized an army of 1,000 warriors, setting the stage for the pivotal Battle of Badr, the first major confrontation between the nascent Muslim community and the formidable Quraysh. While the Battle of Badr itself is a vast and significant historical event, our focus here remains on the fate of Abu Jahl. As the Battle of Badr raged, Abu Jahl, the self-proclaimed father of wisdom, but truly the father of folly, found himself caught in the brutal reality of war. The battlefield was a chaotic maelstrom, and Abu Jahl, though surrounded by his protectors, sensed his imminent demise. He knew he was a prime target for the Muslim warriors. Despite being guarded by 10 layers of protective fighters, 2 young Ansar youths, Mu'adh ibn Amr ibn al-Jamuh and Muawidh ibn Afra, bravely broke through the ranks. They were fueled by a burning desire to confront Abu Jahl, having heard of his relentless persecution of the Prophet. They bravely plunged into the heart of Abu Jahl's protective phalanx, determined to face him. Mu'adh ibn Amr delivered a swift and powerful blow to Abu Jahl's leg, severing it. Before he could finish him off, Muawidh ibn Afra joined the fray, striking Abu Jahl and leaving him severely wounded. The once arrogant and formidable leader now lay bleeding on the battlefield. It was during this grim scene that Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, a humble companion of the Prophet, approached the dying Abu Jahl. Ibn Mas'ud, with his sword drawn, was prepared to deliver the final blow. As Ibn Mas'ud stood over him, Abu Jahl, with a flicker in his eyes, made a gesture, seemingly wanting to convey something. Ibn Mas'ud, momentarily thinking that Abu Jahl might finally utter the Shahada, the declaration of faith, at his last moments, paused and leaned closer to hear his words. But instead of repentance, Abu Jahl's whispered message was a final act of defiance. "Convey my greetings to your friend, Muhammad, and tell him that I am his enemy in this world and the hereafter." This defiant declaration, even at the precipice of death, revealed the depth of Abu Jahl's arrogance and his unwavering refusal to accept the truth. Hearing this, Ibn Mas'ud could no longer contain his righteous indignation. Without hesitation, he raised his sword and severed Abu Jahl's head, bringing an end to the life of Islam's greatest enemy. After the battle, the bodies of Abu Jahl and other prominent disbelievers were interred in a common grave. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, then approached the mass grave and, addressing the deceased, called out their names, including Abu Jahl ibn Hisham, Utbah ibn Rabi'ah, and Shaybah ibn Rabi'ah. He reminded them of the truth they had rejected and the consequences they now faced. It is a poignant reminder of the ultimate fate of those who stubbornly reject divine guidance. The Prophet's address to the dead at the well of Badr, as recounted in traditions, remains a source of profound reflection. While some companions questioned how the dead could hear him, the Prophet clarified that they could indeed hear, though their voices could not be heard by humans. This exchange, recorded in Sahih Bukhari, adds a layer of mystery and spiritual depth to the narrative, reminding us of the unseen realities and the constant presence of divine knowledge. The story of Abu Jahl, from his initial facade of wisdom to his ultimate demise, offers invaluable lessons for every believer. His downfall was not due to a lack of intelligence or capability. Indeed, he was a respected leader among his people. His destruction stemmed from his overwhelming arrogance and his fanatical adherence to tribal pride and worldly status. He chose to prioritize his ego and the perceived honor of his lineage over embracing a truth that was undeniable, even to him in his clandestine moments of listening to the Qur'an. The parallels to Iblis are striking and intentional. Both recognized the truth but allowed pride and a sense of superiority to lead them to rebellion against Allah's command. Abu Jahl's story serves as a stark reminder that true wisdom lies not in worldly intelligence or social standing, but in humility before Allah and a willingness to accept guidance, even when it challenges our preconceived notions or threatens our comfort zones. His life and death underscore the Quranic principle found in Surah Ar-Rahman 78:3, which implicitly warns against the consequences of denying clear signs. The relentless persecution of the early Muslims, culminating in the Hijrah, highlights the unwavering faith and resilience required in the face of immense adversity. The divine protection afforded to the Prophet Muhammad, through angels and miraculous interventions, reiterates Allah's unwavering support for His chosen messengers and those who follow His path sincerely. The story of Abu Jahl is a powerful testament to the destructive nature of arrogance, tribalism, and stubborn rejection of truth. It compels us to introspect. Do we, in our own lives, allow pride or worldly attachments to blind us to clear guidance? Do we prioritize social validation over what we know in our hearts to be righteous? Let us learn from Abu Jahl's tragic end and strive to cultivate humility, open-mindedness, and unwavering submission to the truth, for it is through these virtues that true wisdom and salvation are attained. May this narrative inspire us to reflect deeply on our own spiritual journeys and to always choose faith and obedience over folly and pride.